games. Have any of you ever gone out there? Besides Charles, no? Okay. All right. It's really good. It's really, really good. If you have a chance, you should really make it out there. I'm going to probably reiterate that a few more times throughout the course of this. But anyways, so my name is Jeff. I'm with Broken Compass Studios. We're just a really small team of 4 guys. My role in this is sort of the project manager. I handle the business end. I don't really know how to code at all. But I handle the business, the marketing, the legal, just trying to make everything happen, coordinating everyone. The rest of my team is remote. So I don't know, you guys probably have some degree of experience with it, but my artist, he's in Philadelphia. My designer, he's in Sacramento right now. My developer, he's in Salt Lake City. And it's just a lot of pure dedication on Skype. And I know you guys probably find people, Jimmy was telling about how he's finding people online, it requires a lot of coordination. But anyways, what I'm going to tell you about is just kind of a really casual walkthrough of how we made our first game. And then maybe just some possible suggestions on what you could take away from that. It's not really a solid, this is exactly the right way to do things, but just sharing my personal experience. You guys can interject anytime. So, Catball. So, the idea of Catball, have any of you guys ever played it by any chance? Cool. All right, a couple guys. Well, we'll try to make that a few more. I'm going to introduce my team first. First of all, everyone on my team has vastly different experience. So this was, from the beginning, this was a challenge for me because I actually had never made games before Catball. What happened was at the beginning of, whoa, it's going by itself. At the beginning of last year, I was put in touch with Yis. He's on the bottom left. He's the artist. That's him in the studio. He came to me and said, Jeff, I really want to make a game. How do we make that happen? And my friend Matt Anderson, he's right over here. He's taking the graduate course in game design at the University of Utah. It's one of the top rated ones. I got in touch with him and said, hey, my friend Yis wants to make a game. And then his brother happened to be a developer, and so things just kind of fell into place. We started, talking about things we liked, and just kind of went from there. Gab is right in the middle. She helped out with a lot of the marketing stuff. But so all of us had really different experience. Yis had never made a game. In fact, his only experience was doing street art and kind of some traditionally painted work. So if you haven't heard yet, Catball Eats at all, our game is completely hand painted. There's no vector art in it at all, including in the menus and everything. So that's and then Matt and Tyson, and I don't have that much experience in traditional art as well. So we had to come up with a lot of special ways to kind of make that process happen. So moving on to Catball. So Catball is it's this creature right over here. It's this crazy, crazy creature. When we started it, our first discussion was about things we like. But the concept of the game is you start off small, and the more you eat, the bigger you get. The bigger you get, the bigger things you eat, until you can eat everything on the level. And so this is a level-based platformer on iOS. But of course, you've got a time constraint, which is this dog wall. If you don't eat the level within a certain amount of time, he comes out and eats you. So it's actually a little terrifying if you play the game, because there's a we were listening to a lot of dubstep at the time, and so when he comes out, it like the bass drops and it like freaks a lot of people out. So people thought it was kind of a children's game, but then it like actually scared a lot of the children. Beta testing. Anyways, that's kind of the time right there. So that's a mock-up of the world that we did. Some inspirations. Big inspiration, of course, is Katamari Damacy. I'm sure probably you guys have played this before. Just love the growth mechanic. The growth mechanic was so much fun, and it's just so natural, and it's something that is accessible to anyone. You know, it's like that's something my mom could pick up. We like the idea of jumping planet to planet with Mario, and the speed and the flow that you get when you're playing Sonic, of like diving and jumping and running and spinning. So all of those kind of like lend itself to the game. Also, we like cats. Those are. I'm going to tell you about the experience here. We're invited out to Utah for an exhibit, and while we were staying there, was my friend's cat, Matt's cats, were tormenting us the whole time. So here's some early concept art. The first thing that kind of inspired Catball was the top left cat image that Yis had painted. We looked at it and said, oh, so we really like the growth mechanic in Katamari. We really like the jumping and the platforming kind of action of Mario and Sonic. And we also like this cat, so let's just put it all together. So we got some concept art. You can see which one made it and which ones didn't. That's Dogwall in the earlier stages. And here's something that the first hurdle that we came to. So we decided on the concept of the game. We wanted to make a cat that ate things and as it got bigger, it'd eat bigger things and eat the world itself. And we had the dog in there, and then we thought, okay, we've got the concept of the game. Let's make it. How do we make it? Okay, so starting from the game design process, we start with the level design first, and then we made the art. So it was basically Matt, our game designer, made the left portion first. It's this planet that you can jump around in and dive in through, and you can see there's a lot of those like smooth like crevices that you can like kind of pick up a lot of speed and shoot up through. We thought those were like natural things that people would love to play. And playing it worked out really nicely. However, for our artist, I mean, he's used to doing completely different things. He's used to looking at a blank canvas and creating whatever he wanted. This was effectively paint by numbers for him. It really crushed his creativity, and it was really showing. It was just sort of like, I can't really, none of it really came out. So what did we do? We went into this, and we thought we had the process down, and we did 2 or 3 of these levels just like this. We thought we had the process down. We're getting more efficient at it, but then we're just feeling like we don't have the feeling there. We just didn't feel right. So our game designer Matt, he came to me and said, "Why don't we switch it around and do the art first and create a level out of whatever art Yis paints?" So that's kind of what we did. We took all of these paintings that he'd done, and we created levels out of them. So what does that mean? All of these are hand-painted images that we took a picture of, high resolution, cleaned it up a bit, and then we masked it just in Photoshop, carving out spaces, crevices, things that you can like jump through in here. You can jump through here, like dive in through here. All of these are actual platform elements, and then as you get bigger, you can eat this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then eventually eat the whole thing. And that worked out a whole lot better. So I'm going to pass around a few more. You guys can take a look at it. You guys can like pass it around. I don't know. There's like a bunch you can look at. But that's something that worked out really well. And so we created a whole bunch of new levels this way. You can see there's all these different ones that that he made for it. All of them had different themes and different food items for each one. It was a whole lot of fun. So that's one thing that, it's really important. You have to keep your mind open about the process that you have. So here's us working in the studio that we had at the time. So when we started making the game, we obviously needed funds. I don't know what you guys are using to develop. We used Unity, and of course Unity is free, but we needed the special, the iPhone licenses that can make it easier to develop on iPhone. So we had to fund that. We went on Kickstarter. That was successful, and shortly after, through the Kickstarter, the Leonardo Museum, it's a new museum in Salt Lake City, they found out about us through some connections we had, and they focused on the intersections between art, science, and technology. And since we were doing this, art game, it was a really natural fit. So they invited us out there for the grand opening as artists in residence, which means that we were there for about a week and a half. They paid us to be there. We're in kind of a fishbowl sort of studio. The public could come by and see us work, see how we converted painting into the game. We had them loaded on some iPads, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. The best part about this, there's a lot of good things about this. One of the best parts was just seeing people play the game as you're making it. I can't stress enough how important it is. While we were making it, we had people come in, like this kid, he would just pick it up, start playing it for a little bit, say, oh, this is awesome. Oh, I don't like this. Oh, I like this. And I was just at the side, with my pad out, just writing every single comment down. Did that for a week and a half, just visitors every single day. Yeah, that was a great experience. From this, we got a lot of press. Kickstarter also gave us a lot of press. And it really kind of informed our whole process and our game design. And after that, so we were invited out to Utah. After that, we went back to our homes and we started cracking away for our December release. So Catball was released in December of last year. Let's see, what was I going to say there? Released in December, we had a huge launch party. Before we released, we signed a contract with the PR agency and had them do some of the PR for us, which is something I'll go in a little bit more detail. Let me see here. I'm going to pause this. So for this is kind of documenting up to our release. The PR agency that we used was something I learned about through the Mobile Gaming Summit last year in May. So I'm pretty involved in a lot of the New York City gaming events, of which there are many. There's the mobile gaming summits that are once or twice a year. There's a lot of smaller meetups with Unity developers or Android game developers. There's the New York Gaming Meetup, which is I met Charles at. That is the biggest regular event for game developers in New York City. They do that every month. The last one was just earlier this week. They've gotten to the point where they bring in over 100 people every single time, and it's attracted so much attention that there's regular press going there. There's some Wall Street Journal people in there, Business Insider. If you make your game, it would be a great idea to present there. It's a night where it's just a couple hours of free pizza and beer, and they show 6 or 7 games. You can meet a lot of other game developers, and also there's some industry people walking around every once in a while. So, anyways, I heard about the mobile gaming summit. Well, when I was there, I took a lot of the courses that they had, the seminars, and met up with a PR agency. And let's see here, I can show you some of the press we received. Let's see. So, so one thing as you're getting towards your release, you're going to obviously start thinking about the marketing of your game. This is extremely crucial. I can't stress how important it is, and doing it. How many of you guys have thought about or used Kickstarter? Have any of you guys ever used Kickstarter now? So, if you guys have you guys backed any Kickstarter projects? All right, cool. Which ones? Out of curiosity, Kickstarter games.
Kind of like just various games that look cool mostly. Anything artistic that I really feel like a good vibe off of, like, oh, I really want to see that happening.
Right, right. That's cool. The nice thing about Kickstarter is a lot of people look at it as just a funding platform, but that's like a small portion of it. It's actually one of the best marketing platforms you can use because they have incredible traffic. Just thousands and thousands of people on there every day, every hour, looking for something awesome. So when we put Catball up there, it was, let's see here, I guess I can pull that up. So we used this Kickstarter. It was the first step that we did in making the game. Before we started actually developing it, we put this up to try and cover some of the costs of a Unity license, and also just, maybe we could survive on it a little bit or pay for other unexpected things. But as I was running this, I was primarily responsible for this. I learned that there's a lot of press people that go through it, and it's very easy it's very easily shared. It's like as a unit of information. It's like, just check out the Kickstarter page. Everything you need to know is on there. So I would suggest that as part of your marketing strategy. If you've been following it recently, it's tightened up a little bit. They had a whole bunch of successful projects that were even for smaller developers, $20,000, $50,000. Some of our friends at a studio in Philadelphia raised $80,000 for their next game. And obviously for bigger projects, you've seen like projects over $1 million. That's beginning to tighten up a little bit if you've been following the news. But I would suggest that. Also, beyond this, you might start thinking about taking on professional services like PR agencies. We went to Triple Point, and they focus on PR for games. That's one of their main things. They have incredible connections. They started our marketing about a month before we launched. It was pretty pricey. I don't think I'm allowed to say the price from our contract, but we paid out of pocket. It's like several $1,000s. But through their contacts, they actually have a guy, the head of the New York office. He goes to the Apple offices. This is mostly Apple related, but if you know, to be successful on Apple's platform, iOS, it's nice to be viral and all, but really what it comes down to is whether or not you're featured on that top page of the Apple App Store. And there's people who choose it, people who choose what goes on top. It's Apple's editorial team. Triple Point knows those people, and they go present to them in their offices about once a month. So we worked with Triple Point, and we were luckily, Triple Point shows them a whole bunch of games and then says like, maybe you should feature one of these. So we got on staff favorites a couple times, and we were lucky in our timing. We timed the release of our game just for the Christmas season. If you know Apple's, this is all stuff that you guys have to like kind of read up about, but the iTunes store locks down for any new updates or releases of games or any applications several weeks before, like in the beginning of December. So if you want to finish your game and release your game for December release or Christmas release, you have to have it in by about November. So we had that all in place. We timed it, and when we released the game, they locked down, and so we were in staff favorites for much longer than anyone would have thought, at least about a month. And then we were featured a couple more times after that, since the staff remembered us, which was nice. So professional services are something that you could consider. You really have to think about whether or not it's a good fit for you. There are other ways to market the game. It's actually, mobile marketing is one of the most complex things you can read about. There's daily deals type stuff, free app a day. You pay an upfront fee of several $1,000s, and then they'll feature you on the network, like the very top, which has like just millions of people watching it every day. And they get booked out months in advance. But that's another thing that you could consider. I wouldn't say bite for it right away. You really got to think about it. Going back though, what I really want to emphasize: don't take my advice. Yeah. Wait, how do I get back into the slideshow? All right. So, don't take my advice. Everything I've said is just my experience. One important thing is that you get the advice of everybody. The New York City community is really nice because everyone's constantly sharing what they're doing, what they're working on, what works and what doesn't. So you really need to think about what your game is, where you're marketing it, what kind of people are going to play it. Do a beta test, do it like some kind of a thing that lets you know if it's right or wrong. Do what's fun for you. This is incredibly important, of course. When we were playing showing the game at the Leonardo Museum, we had so many kids come up with like the craziest ideas ever, and they were, for the most part, pretty terrible. We had for example, there's a kid that says, what if instead of Catball, you have a bird and it could just come in and you touch it and it eats all the food and then you finish the game. It was just like, thanks, Johnny. We'll write that down, So, obviously, just do what's fun for you, because what's fun for you is it's got to be fun for someone, right? Someone that you might resonate with. Beta test as much as you can. There's ways to do it efficiently. You got to look into those services. For Apple, there's a test flight. Test flight is what the service is called. It's free, and you can send out builds to people really easily, collect feedback. It's all a nice platform. Do something different. This is duh. It was easy. My job was easy because I could say, oh, we have an art game. So that attracted a lot of attention. But really, you need to think about when you're marketing a game, your pitch. What's the pitch of the game? For me, I had it, after talking to so many visitors at the museum, I had it honed down. Catball, it's a cat shaped like a ball. Easy. The more you eat, the bigger you get. The bigger you get, the bigger things you can eat until you finish the whole game. And so it made it really easy when I was talking to people who were trying to write about it. So do something different. Focus on your pitch for what that is. So, and have a press kit ready. Just like some little copy or some pictures, screenshots. Make it nice and packaged, ready to go. Someone asks for it, you can send it out. Be willing to try it in a different way. So like I mentioned about the process in which you do it, we started out doing game design first, the level design, and then we did the art. But you know, with the strengths of the people on our team, we had to do it the other way around. I've said this so many times, don't be a hermit. You have to meet people, you know, who can, you know, just build up your network. I didn't know about a critical extension that we were using, or a plugin for Unity, until I met someone. You know, we had a problem. Unity 3D is primarily for 3D games. So we have a 2D game. So we were thinking of like so many crazy workarounds to get it working, and having a really hard time with it. And then someone said, "Why don't you try RageSpline?" Oh, okay, let's look it up. And then we started using RageSpline. It was great. There's so many reasons to just go out and network. I know you guys are a little bit far from the city, but New York City is one of the top places for indie game developers in the nation. Just right behind, well, San Francisco obviously is really big, but behind San Francisco, I can't think of anywhere else that's as good. There's a lot of support out here, and everyone's really friendly, so it's good. Be prepared and be real. Once you graduate, I mean, you guys will know, being a game developer is something that probably most computer science majors think about at some point or another. It's extremely hard to be successful in this space for various reasons. Even if you can make a really great game, you got to think about the whole life cycle of getting that game out there. So have a plan in place in case. So if you can, part of this is building up a nice portfolio to have some freelance things going on the side. This applied to pretty much everyone on my team. And don't lose sight. You need to have fun. Good things will happen. I put that in there because when you stay connected and involved with things, kind of unexpected opportunities come up. I was invited to speak at the Mobile Gaming Summit for like in the middle of October because I happened to stay in touch with the organizer of the event. And also I was subscribing to Gama Sutra, which you guys probably know about. And they had some contest running, and I thought, oh, why not try it? You know, just try a random thing. So I got a free ticket to go to the GDC thing in a couple weeks. But you know, good things happen. I've met a lot of people who've also helped with the marketing of it, just because they love the game. Just always try to have fun and meet people who are also doing the same thing. So that concludes most of it. I'm going to just show you one last thing that is actually a sneak peek. No one outside of our team has seen this yet, except for the guys that made it. So we have friends who do an animation. They run an animation studio. This is the next game that we're working on. It's called Rusty the Rainbow Whale. This actually is not a gameplay trailer. It's a teaser because you don't see any gameplay in here. Let me just hope the sample works.
$2.
Oh, good question. Both very good questions. Android. First reason was because Android, at the time that we made the game, which may or may not be true now, we decided to go for iPhone because, well, first of all, we all had iPhones and we were comfortable with the experience. We really liked it. Also, for Android, this space it's pretty difficult to develop in when you've got so many different screen resolutions to work with, and just a lot of factors to think about. And also, it's not easy to monetize on Android as it is on iPhone. For most, I mean, this may not be true now. I haven't been following too close on Android development, but when we were doing it, the Android pricing, most of it was free. Almost everything on Android was free, except for some games that were like $4, $6, $8. The price points there is kind of, they're mostly free, and then there's a few that are kind of like several dollars and with mixed success. So for us, we chose iPhone just because it felt like a certainty for us. So that's the first part. Second, $2. When you read about mobile game pricing, it's a mess. There's free, and then you get like a paid version, like a separate build. Then there's the freemium that you probably have heard about, where it's free, but then you have in-app purchases. And then there's obviously, of course, paid. We started out with freemium. We started out with freemium because that's what we heard was best. And we heard that was like the trend that the industry is moving towards: freemium, freemium, freemium. That's the way to go. And then you build up a nice store inside the game and monetize through there. What they don't tell you is that when you do freemium, it's a lot of maintenance post-release. You have to think about this. Number one, do what's right for you. Think about your team and your time commitments that you have and what you can realistically deliver to the game after you've released it. Freemium, for us, we also made the mistake of not designing it well into our game. It was mostly aesthetic. Successful freemium games, they make money off of not aesthetic assets like nice hats and stuff. It's different for PC, but for mobile games, if you want to make money, you use it by setting up virtual currency systems. So you guys have probably played, like, when you need some number of credits to continue playing or get a power up to something. That's a whole nother layer that you have to think about, and goes in very early in the game design, which we didn't do right. We tacked it on afterwards. So it wasn't a really good fit for the game. Also, it's very high maintenance. You have to do a lot of analytics tracking, redesigning of the assets on the fly. There's services out there for it that make it easier, but it's still kind of a time sink. And for the price point, we were just playing around. We start off with 99 cents. Well, so freemium worked out really well in terms of number of downloads. When we were featured for staff favorites, we got, thousands, tens of thousands of downloads. But then we realized, oh, that's great, tens of thousands of downloads. And then, where's the money? It's like, where's the money? So obviously our in-app purchases weren't designed well. They didn't fit well for the game, and we didn't, feature them prominently within the game. So we decided, all right, let's just bag that and then see what happens if we switch to paid. So we switched to paid. That worked out a little bit better, and then we started to play around with the pricing. We thought it doesn't help, and it doesn't hurt if we just mess with the pricing a little bit. And we found out that if we changed it up to $2, we still had the same number of downloads. So it wasn't the same. I guess it wasn't that big of a reservation for the type of people that were coming to our game. Interestingly, this is an aside. Everything I've told you is mostly about mobile games. For mobile games, you should really think about putting in analytics. We use Flurry. It's a free service. While I was using it, I could see for every press article that we got, every piece of press, there's like almost perfect one-to-one spike in our traffic. It's pretty cool to see. Yeah, anyways, that's that. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah.
What was that plugin for Unity you mentioned?
That was Rage Spline. There might be other ones similar or better.
And how many downloads do you get? And I just wanna know if you got some profit, and how would you separate the designer and the game developer? Because I'm a developer, but I don't know how to draw in the pictures. And the game program is usually pretty heavyweight of the animation. So I just wanna know if got some profit, how separate.
Right. The thing is, Catball is not supporting everything that we're doing right now. Catball is paying for itself, just barely. This is like, that's one other thing about the whole be real part. You're not gonna, well, you might, but chances are against you for becoming independent off of your first title. So for our downloads, we have around, I would say 60,000, and the majority of those were in that time where we were free, which is incredibly painful for me every time I look at it. Yeah, so that's that. For splitting the profits, everyone on my team, we met first as friends. So we have a very equal, fair, split of the money between the four of us, the four core members. The other people who were involved, it was just an agreement that we would pay a set amount once we reached a certain amount of revenue.
So you mean to pay the salary or just pay percentage?
All right, percentages for our team, and then flat amounts for people who are doing other types of work, marketing or sound design or music. So that's kind of what we do. So, and there's also that brings up another point. Talk about that very early on. The what ifs. You need to have everything in place and have it very clear. And you can make it very nice for yourself. You don't have to say, oh, 25% for everyone. Like if there's split it equally. You have to think a little bit more deeply of, okay, so 25%, is that before or after we've covered our costs? Is that before or after we've paid off for this license? That what if someone leaves halfway through? They still have their contribution of some part of the game. You need to have some fail-safes for that. And there's contracts out there. There's reading that you can do on it. Lawyers are incredibly expensive. I talked to with a few. They average about $500 an hour in the city. I did not pay for that. I got the free hour of consultation in the beginning with several, which you can try and do. But there's also some like law students who are trying to get their chops, so you could play with that too. Any other questions?
How long did you develop for? Like, how long was this all?
Concept was in March. Actual development, like pre-production and development, we started around June last year. Finished the game in November. So what is that? About roughly 7 months. But we had like different amounts of time. Like each wasn't like a same set time each week that we would all develop it. A huge part of that was just learning how to work with each other. Not that we hated each other, just like we didn't really know how to set up that process. If we were to make the same game now, we could probably do that in about 2 months.
How long was beta testing?
Beta testing, it was about 2.5 to 3 weeks.
Can I ask you
Yeah.
more? This money again. How did you get the money, the investor? Where is the money from? And how much money did you spend for the whole project?
So we only got money from several sources. One was the Kickstarter, $4,700. Most of that went to the
4,700.
4,700, yeah. Most of that went to the Unity license. Some of that, a good chunk of that went into rewards. Oh man, I gotta tell you, if you guys set up rewards, please be careful about the kind of rewards you set up. We were like, when we set this up, this was middle of last year, when it wasn't